Yes, here I am. My voice is out again. Sorry. Yeah, this is Yemi Awusi Adefajo. I'm the host of the show, the Japa Code. I'm super excited to be here, and I'm sure you are as well. Thank you so much for joining in. Japa Code is a one-stop shop, all right? One-stop hub for everything that has to do with migration from Nigeria to any other country in the world. And we're talking about the rules, the routes, and the resources required for you to be able to do what you need to do. So this is Japa Code, and I'm here. Today, our guest is not able to make it as Dr. I did promise you last week that Dr. Osaz will be here with us, but hey, schedule and timing and everything. So I'm sure by next week, Sunday, we should have him join us for a great episode. I'm still gonna, hammering a little bit on a bit of the things that we planned to share about today. We're looking at navigating the work culture in the host, what's called the destination country that you're going into settling in. Whatever it is that you choose to japa to, okay, there are fundamentals that you must know, you must engage with, and those are the things that I want to share with us on the show today. Of course, we'll be sharing about them, but now today we're going to talk about navigating the work culture. The work culture concept is very, very important because, again, don't forget, we did say if you're going to relocate, if you're going to move to another country, it has to be for a purpose. And now we're talking about being able to go, live, and work in whatever country you're going into. And so it's important for you to understand there's an element of work culture that is involved in this because you're going there to pick up work, to work. So there are cultures that you must put to mind, that you must understand and put to mind. And I'm going to be addressing some of them today. When Dr. Sass comes to join us next week, Sunday, hopefully, we'll talk a bit more, on the psychological part. Okay, so I want us to just do a little talk on this element of the work culture. Don't forget, some of us, I must say, a lot of people that I've interacted with, who are, of course, planning to, and I've already relocated, it's about work. And some of them are not necessarily relocating based on the element of, they're not relocating based on, because of the fact that they have something doing here. They're going as in terms of something structured and really, strong here. But a lot of people, some of them are coming from the place of, they have always been entrepreneurs. Okay, you run your time, you run your schedule, you run your shift, and then from there you move all the way to what's called now, move all the way, and some, of course, people who are working already in paid employment, 9 to 5, if you can say that, they have to move from here to that country. So they're already used to some of this thing, but a lot of people are not used. And even if you are used to it, the culture in Nigeria is not the same culture as out there. And so it's important for us to quite speak on the element of navigating the work culture, So the first thing I want to talk about is the element of, talking about the work-life balance. Talking about the work-life balance, and that's the first thing I want to talk about. Let me just change my slides to the work. There you go. I want to talk about the work-life balance. Now here, traditionally, we know how we work here. We know how we work in our country. It's back to back. A lot of people have said the most. Nigeria is a very stressful nation. You're trying to make ends meet. Of course, you know that everything we're doing, sometimes you stress so much, but at the end of the day, the amount of time you spend doing what you do compared to the time spend trying to do what you need to do compared to the time you spend to do the actual work is quite more. And so we have a life that really isn't so balanced. The stress you go through every single day really just makes out for what could have been exercises, what could have been, stay home, stay on holidays or something, all those things. But in these countries you're going into, there are structures and systems that have been created to enable you, the citizen, or as it were, the worker in the country, to live a balanced life. All right, to live a balanced life. And so we want to talk about some of these things. Don't forget that sometimes, most of the time, that's the reason why we're all going there, better life as well. But when you live Nigeria, moving to those countries, some people here left with the mindset of, left with the conditions of, making some more money within the system. Some, of course, the one that could pick a facility from here, pick facility from there, uncle, auntie, give me this, give me that. The one that could, throw in with some of the things they have so that they can muscle up the money to be able to go. So there's a lot of funding required for such a trip. And then getting there, the mindset immediately would be to see how you can quickly recover those funds back. All right? Quickly recover those funds back. And of course, sometimes, which is mostly the case, people who are going, like the season we're in right now, a lot of people are going through the healthcare route, the skilled work route. And so because that's what you're doing, the payment you're going to be receiving for such a move is not the ideal payment for your level. And so you are driven to want to cover up the grounds real quick. Okay, and of course, and of course, we have the element of the tax system there. We have the element of, the cost of living has gone up, bills have gone up, just a lot of elements that come to play. And so because of those things, you want to cover up grounds. And that's where some sort of trap comes in, because the system there allows you kind of, orders you in a sense, kind of structures you in a way that you must have a balance. You must have a balance. You are tempted to want to cover up, tempted to want to have more jobs, tempted to want to have more of this so that you can make more money. Of course. You have to balance out. So you have to indeed get some more money. But there must be a balance to your life. There must be a balance to your life. A lot of people are driven in that direction. So many segments of their life gets lost in transit. Of course, the system will always end up catching back on those kind of people. It's like you walk in a place and you're supposed to go on leave once a year, maybe 3 months, maybe 3 weeks, 2 weeks leave, as the case might be. And rather than you go on that leave, you just felt, look, let me just do some work. And you sometimes you might not even go on leave. You might go on leave by that company, but you're actually doing more work with some other system. And so the period where you needed to relax and rejuvenate and get yourself back together is mostly lost. All right, lost into the work and trying to raise funds system. So that kind of situation is one thing that I want us to be very, very careful about. We always say it's not how hard you work, it's how smart you work. And it's important for you to understand that it's about the smartness of the work. And so if it's about the smartness of the work, it's not just walking and walking and walking. I remember somebody saying, even when you have to go on break, you're not going to be paid for the break time that you have, but expect you to go for, because by break time, you're not working really as it were. So, but expect you to go for break. Now, if you now say, you know what, I'm not going for a break, I'm going to work during my break time. Of course, why not? They'll allow you to work. They'll allow you to work and 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 work. It's the system, encouraging. But of course, the same system would wait for you in front, asking you questions on how you're supposed to go on leave, but you don't go on leave. Why? How do you renew your strength? How do you rejuvenate? How do you get revitalized? How do you do that? Because you're expected to have some time off that you just strictly just work. Of course, we know people also go on leave, and it's a working leave. They're still working while they're on leave. Just make sure work continues and you're able to meet your target. And of course, you get paid extra for all those things. One has to be very, very mindful of that aspect of it, the making money part, and of course, driven by the income, and of course, the element of you also not wanting to make as much money as you can possibly make, and then also pushing through. Now, you have also important also is the element of hobbies. There must be, it's in this part of the world, all these things looks like luxury for some people. I'm talking about having hobbies as what you do at your leisure time. A lot of people leisure time, they are gisting, they are talking. That's the leisure. They watch film, watch movie. That's it. But joining a club, taking a stroll in the evening or something, meeting people, going on some cruise, all those sort of things, and maybe some sporting activity you do, while you're in the club, you have some tennis, you do sports, you play swimming, you do all those kind of things. Now, all those things are important in this society. They are very important. Those are the things that get you to socialize. Those are the things that get you to interact with other people. It's like you having a school, like we see a lot of our schools here. You have a school that there's no space for the children to play. It's just block work, all right, left, and center. And you're wondering, so how does the child have a balanced life? It's the same thing. We must have all those things in mind. You must develop a hobby if you don't have one already. If you do, give expression to it. You have to do that. And like I suggested again, join a club. The circle of friends is not hobby. I like to talk and talk and talk. Talking is very mind-winding, if you know what I mean. So you have to be able to have something that you love to do. And if, of course, you're going with your children, you must engage them with something they love to do, some extracurricular, something they love to do at home. Come out to the garden, gardening, cycling. You have all those things, but you must deliberately. Don't forget what I said when I started. A lot of people are driven because of the income. Make more money, make more money, make more money. And over time, they get so fatigued, so burnt out. Again, I'm not playing down on the fact that some people got in on a very tight budget, and so they have to sort a lot of things out. Yes, true, but then you must remember that you must have a balance. Otherwise, you're not going to be optimized in terms of efficiency. You will not be able to do that. So you have to be able to balance all of these things out. Very important. When it's time for break, stick to the element of break. Don't stretch your brain more than required. Don't stretch yourself more than required. Usefulness to yourself is as important to your usefulness to the company, and of course, to those in your home. I know of people who clock in at 7 a.m. and they clock out at about roughly about 10 p.m. and they have to run from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. at work. Maybe they have a 1 hour break, maybe worst case, maybe like 2 hours break in between. But that's it. They get back home. Of course, with the distance from home to work, we have a 1 hour, 35 or 45 minutes, 1 hour. They get back home. They're fatigued already. They're exhausted. And of course, you go to bed at 11. What are you going to do? Nothing. And then you wake up again at 5 o'clock and the system continues. And of course, they have only one day. They have a day off in the week. All right. This is real, guys. This is real. This is real. The system is all about you working and making an income. This is real. Now, because of the level you're coming into the country with, traditionally, what you're going to be getting within the same time frame is going to be very minute compared to if you were to come in your level, whatever the level you're in right now in this country. So you're mentally prepared to just fire the cylinders so you can cover up all these gaps. You can cover up these gaps. And that basically puts you in the place where there's a lot of stress, a lot of strain on what you have to cover up. I'm emphasizing you must have a balanced life. You must be balanced. So whatever it is you can do to ensure that within that time frame, expose yourself, find holes, find sections within the day or within the period that you can insert other things there. The day off that you have, as much as you can, of course, the resting is there, but it's also time for you to catch up on all the gaps of your life within the whole week that you've not been able to. I don't know what schedule of work you have, but that's about the advice. You must be able to constantly and deliberately be conscious of all those things, because if you're not conscious of it, you're going to end up pushing yourself into a lot of stress and strain. Beautiful enough, the system also catches laxity and non-performance or reduced performance, more or less. So of course, before you know it, they're sent to go and meet a counselor or meet a shrink or something just to help you to rearrange your life and all that. But if you already know that this is who I am, this is what I know I'm getting into, and I'm going to make it work, but I need to ensure that my life is balanced, my activities are balanced, then it puts you on your toes, traditionally on your toes, to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. All right. So I'm talking about the work-life balance, and we're here speaking on the element of the work-life culture, the work culture outside of this country. It's important to put in mind that it's not a walk in the park, and there's a different system for different structures. All right. We're going to go for a real quick break right now. I'm going to play something to us. One of the things from our partners, the Migrant Resource Center, okay, based here in Nigeria, in Lagos, in Ikoyi, all right, from the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment. Let's take a listen.
The National Electronic Labour Exchange is a unit in the International Labour Migration in the Employment and Wages Department of the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment. The centers are information hubs for the public to meet demands of employment, referral, labor rights, recruitment advice, support, and all employment-related issues, with the aim of educating and enlightening the public on workplace and employment issues, as well as ensuring protection and decent work. Our target audience are students, all categories of migrants, and the general public. For more details, email us on jobcenterlagos@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, a National Electronic Labour Exchange, YouTube, a National Electronic Labour Exchange.
Hello, my name is Yemi and I would love to invite you to join me on the Japa Code. The Japa Code is your ultimate guide to legally migrating from Nigeria to your dream destination. If you desire to Japa, we've got you covered. We'll bring you expert advice and insider tips to help you navigate the roads, routes and resources required to make that dream a reality. Join me this Sunday at 5 p.m. on the Women Network on YouTube. The Japa Code is brought to you by Women Consults in partnership with the Migrant Resource Center, Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for staying with me. This is the Japa Code, as you heard. So great to be here again. Great to be here with you. So I want to talk about, moving on to the next bit now, which is about the element of time management. Hey, this one there, this time management story. Oh my goodness. All right, so I want to talk about time management, and I'm going to try and see, just to help us to understand what is required, what we speak about when we talk about time management. A lot of times, now, don't forget where we are coming from. This is our country. There's something we know called African time in Nigeria. All right. So let's try and let's try and understand what we refer when we say African time. So you're meant to be there at 5 o'clock. All right. You say 5 o'clock and then you showed up at 5:10, 5:05, 5:10. All right. What makes us show up later than we ought to show up? Sometimes we'll say, it's African time now. People are not going to be there. People, those countries we're going into, we know that they are going to be there. Let me tell you a quick story. So this is based on factual information. There was someone who needed to be at a place of work, caring for an elderly person, and needed to be there at 7:30. Now, the person who the carer was going to care for, of course, was expecting the carer to show up at 7:30. The carer showed up at 7:45, practically to 8. Of course, what was the excuse? It was for the bus it needed to take. Of course, we know certainly the person missed that bus. I had to take the next bus because their timing is as strict as true, because years of structures. So now you missed the bus and you ended up getting there later than the time. Of course, you know what happened to that person? Instantly, a report was made to the office and the person was called back, of course, queried. Now, that happened the first time, and then it happened again 3 times in row. Of course, the person receiving the care sent to the home and requested that person should be changed. Now, the person would have confidently just said, it was because of, I missed the bus, I'm so sorry. Of course, they will laugh with you, oh, sorry, so I totally understand, but I have to make the report to your boss. So, you might be able to find a way to ensure that doesn't repeat itself. But I totally understand. I feel what you're going through and everything. But guess what? There was a recall, and of course, a query showed up. In this part of the world, we have such issues because a lot of our systems are not necessarily as structured. But even here, we can still plan ourselves. You're going in the morning from the mainland to the island. If you get onto the road about 7 a.m., there's no way you're going to get across the South Mainland Bridge till about 2 hours or 3 hours. It's not going to happen because at that time there is traffic. But if you shoot at 6, you'll definitely be able to get to the tail end of about the startup of the traffic and cross over. It's the same principle. You must prepare your mind to go away from African time. It doesn't exist. Thank God they're not Africans. It doesn't exist over there. And so time management, I want to pick it from the level of this African time syndrome that we have here. Right now, some of us might still be here preparing yourself to get over there and begin to start living, start working there. If you schedule a meeting or have an appointment for 8 o'clock, be there before 8 o'clock. Be there before 8 o'clock, whatever it is you need to do. And if 8 o'clock isn't favorable from the get-go, change that time so that you're not the one at the end of the day falling short of the timing. Stick to time. We have that problem in this part of the world. It's not even it's just about everything. We're having a meeting and right there, the MD is coming to the meeting. Everybody must be seated before the MD walks in. Protocol. But if the MD says, if you have the 8 o'clock meeting, as MD, I'm going to show up in that place at 8 o'clock, you show up in that place at 8 o'clock. All right? And that's what the MD expects you to do. African time management is very important. And that also speaks to your timing for your work, timing for your lunch break, timing for you to resume back from your lunch break, timing to go home, timing to get to work, the whole length of everything that speaks about time. Balancing your time, making your time work for you is critical in this setting, and that must be put to mind. All right, that must be put to mind. Let's go for a quick break. I will be back shortly.
Hello, my name is Yemi, and I would love to invite you to join me on the Japa Code. The Japa Code is your ultimate guide to legally migrating from Nigeria to your dream destination. If you desire to Japa, we've got you covered. We'll bring you expert advice and insider tips to help you navigate the routes, routes, and resources required to make that dream a reality. Join me this Sunday at 5 p.m. on the Women Network on YouTube. The Japa Code is brought to you by Women Consults in partnership with the Migrant Resource Center, Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment.
So much. Thank you so much. Great to still be here. Thank you for staying tuned with us. We're talking about the Japa Code, and I'm speaking on the element of the work culture, I spoke initially about work-life balance, where you have to be very mindful that your life is balanced. We're talking about work, and then you have relaxations, you have holidays you must take, you have breaks you must take, you have hobbies you have to walk through, early morning rituals that you have, whether a walk or a treadmill thing or a run across the park or something that you must do. You must have that balance. It's not just about work. Of course, time must be there also for you to, go for a movie, go for sightseeing somewhere, window shopping, and all those things. You must be able to have that balance in your life. It's mandatory for you to optimize. This is critical. And then we also spoke about the element of time management, disabusing our mind from African time. African time, all right? So we need to disabuse that from our mind. African time is not an international, sure, it's just within Africa. In fact, Nigeria, as a matter of fact. So we must disabuse that from our mind as well. Very important for where you're going to work. Of course, you shouldn't run a life that you're always running late. You shouldn't run a life you're always running late. If you are going to be there 7 o'clock and you know that it's going to take you 45 minutes, of course, the bus you're going to take from point A to point B, those buses take time. If there's going to be a delay, the buses, of course, the system will tell you it's going to be a 5 minutes delay or something. But you plan all those delays into your time. If they give the 5 minutes delay, 10 minutes delay, 10 minutes is really, really ridiculous. But like 5 minutes, 2 minutes delay, be at the park, be at the bus stop, waiting for your bus to come in at that time. Move from that time. And that means also your time from leaving your home to come into the park, you have to calculate the walking distance, how much time it's going to take you to get to that bus station before you move out of that place. Time management is very critical. Otherwise, you're going to be running against time, running to catch up on time, coming to your place of work perplexed, sweaty, all panting and all of that. There's no need for that if you are stuck to the time as you should from the get-go. Very, very important. The last thing I want to talk about, today is the element of keeping to rules. I'll tell you a quick story yet again. In this part of the world, we're used to, talk about, just even use the basic one. But this is for those who have children. You want to scold your child. There's a knocking of the head, a turning of the ears, smacking, a beating of the child. We don't use smack. Beating of the child, knocking. Some of them even, the belt comes in, the broom comes in. All those things that, like they say, you beat the demon out of you. My mother and parents taught me, they did me like this. I see how I turned out. I turned out good. You too, you will turn out good. So it's the same thing. Somebody was speaking some place I was, and the person was saying, when a child goes to school and they encourage the children to just express themselves, they talk about the issue of loving, parents caring, and all of that. And then the mother said, the teacher says, okay, so when your mom or your dad, you shouldn't beat you, they shouldn't do all those things, and they expect the child. They basically just teach the child to be able to raise an alarm when there's been an abuse, an abuse at home, beating, all those basic things that we do here that looks like ordinary, and there it's not the same. So the child gets home, and initially when I just got into the country, it was always, mommy, it's paining me. When maybe mommy is trying to lose the hair of the daughter, he said, it's paining me. And say, oh, pele, sorry, God, you know how you mothers, you should be carrying this thing and knock the head, just set the head right. And the person goes, it's paining me. And then the child begins to change from it's paining me to it's hurting me. And then it's hurting because you are hurting me. Hey, crisis has begun. Okay, so you have to be very, very mindful of those things that seems ordinary, that seems simple, that seems you're used to them. You have to change all those things. You have to change them. It's not optional. It's not something you can't discuss it. It's just as simple as that. We don't have to discipline children by beating them or by flogging them, as the case might be, in school, at home, wherever. You don't have to discipline children by twisting and turning their ear till they begin to hear, the sound wave that they begin to hear me on their ear. Not necessarily. Just taking the rights of a child or the freedom of a child away from that child is the most effective punishment there can ever be. And if you find out a lot of all this beating and all this thing that comes out is from the place of the anger within a parent about something the child has done. Your standard, the child has violated your standard. And so you express that displeasure. And that's where the canes really come from. Before you know it, there's a flogging of the child, there's a knocking of the head of the child, there's a beating, and all those things, an expression of, I won't call it a transfer aggression because the child is the one that did it first time, but the child is not conscious of it. The child doesn't want to deliberately hurt you. And so you exert that strength, that anger, that displeasure onto that child using physical things upon the child. In this part of the world, it's like a norm, really. But out there, it's not the same thing. And it's a culture that we need to start imbibing now. Don't forget the focus here is to be able to get us into that headspace of what is going to be ahead of you. Here, right now, stop beating the children. Stop breaking the rights of the child. Stop breaking those laws so that when you get there, you will not think village people have come again. They will not come. It's you that you just did not balance your culture very well. So when you get there, there are rules of engagement, there are rules of interactions. All right. Those rules must be followed. Those are part of the work culture we're talking about. You must follow the rules. There was somebody who also went somewhere and wanted to pick up a child from a school and got to a place that they wrote no parking. But because it was rush hour for parents to come in, this is in the UK now, parents to come in and pick up the children, the person, of course, parked on the no parking sign. Now, at the time the person parked there, that was exactly the time, of course, people park there. It's a crowd. So a lot of people are picking up their children and so on. So as soon as the person parked there, just at the time the person parked there, was just the same time, the person went in, picked up the child, and was coming out with the child, only for the ticketing officer to show up and put a ticket on the car. Now, the person was like, come on, everybody is doing, this is normal. But guess what? It's you that I caught. it's you that is violated. Everybody might be violating it. I could have seen 100 cars. Maybe I just don't just pay attention to them at that time, but now I pay attention to you. You're against the law. Now the person could have done, oh, rubbish. Of course, the person gladly pick up the ticket. I'm going to go pay the dues expected. But that's the communication to a lot of people. There are rules. There are rules. And guess what? There are road signs. There are road signs, that there are instructions everywhere. If you don't know, ask somebody that knows. Talk to somebody around. Please, I need to find out, can I go or find an officer, you know, like we do sometimes when you want to pass one way, you look for a last man person, I'll call the last man person, sorry, officer, can I take this road to, well, but of course, sometimes they might just be nasty and just say you should go ahead only for you to be trapped at the place you're supposed to go to. All right, so it's very important that we get into those situations, all right? Very important that we take note of this, because it's going to help you so that you don't end up, God forbid, you get there and all you're doing is paying dues over laws, you're broken laws, you're broken laws, you're broken, you just go there, you're breaking laws. And one of the terrible things is this, of course, there is a record-keeping nation. Oh my goodness. Everybody has a file with the system. And so, of course, when you get in the country, they ask for your documents so they know you are there for your files. Everybody has a file. So at the end of the day, the law kind of just monitors you based on your records. It's, of course, it's not saying that you will never have a single ticket all your life. I don't think that is possible, because everybody, you know, is imagine if all of us in this nation were actually keeping to the rules. I think everybody will have tickets, plenty of tickets on our system. But over there, you have some minor things. Basically, maybe you violated your speed limits. Speed limits was more than the required speed limit. You didn't check the speed limit. You didn't check your speedometer. You're not blowing this in and you're going. You're not meant to take, you're supposed to wait for a car that's coming on the left or coming on the right. Or you're supposed to do all that. You didn't pay attention. You just go. All those things are things that can pick you on. Now, also very important is, you know, there are minimum wages about salary now. Your wage they are going to be receiving, their wages. You know what? I'm going to do an episode on, you know, work when it comes to in terms of wages and penetrating the system. I mean, entering the system and making the system work for you. There are some things that you need to have. If you are coming in on the minimal level, you're coming on the lowest level, automatically means that, you know, it means that there's a lot of covering up that you need to do. And if you already know what the things that you need to have in place before you launch into that place, then you're already ready to shock to, what's the word now? You're ready to brace yourself for the transition that you need to do pending the time, the transition you need to do so that you can get back to the place you were before you left this country. It's a lot of all the things, all the dynamics that play. And it starts from before you even get there, because when you get there, it's a rat race. You have to get in the system and begin to move, begin to run, begin to do what you need to do, all right? There are rights for workers. There are rights for working conditions. There are wages that you must have for particular levels of work. When you add more qualifications, that you are expected to request for a promotion. If the promotion doesn't come, you are expected, you have the right to opt to another job, all right, within a particular period of time. Of course, we'll take note of the visa that you came in with as well, all right? So a lot of all these things are very important that you need to take note of, and I'm very excited that you know, we get to share some of these things with us, so that from here now, you're already in the airspace of what is to come for you. We're talking about the work culture. We're talking about the work culture, and it's been an exciting time speaking about this. If you have questions, you have comments you'd like to share with us, I am super excited. I'm sure the entire team also will be ready to receive whatever questions you have, and see how we can help you navigate through them. You can write your questions, send in a comment for us. Information that we have for you will be in the notification box for you to take note of and use as you deem fit. All right, if you have questions, you can send us a private message, or you just send a post on the platform as well, and we'll be able to attend to those questions that you have. Work culture, very critical for those of us going into those countries to work. You must have the ethics of work. It has a tendency of consuming you because you're looking for money and you keep running to just make that money, and at the end of the day, you lose yourself to that. There's no need for them. A lot of us, we've come a long way in our life here in this country. So going there, we must just be able to optimize the system to get the best result possible. The system is, like we say, a lot of structures are there, a lot of there's checks and balances in the entire system. And there's always an encouragement that you must do what you must do to be able to get the best out of the system. The system is ready to help you if you optimize it. And so it's important for you to, before you get there or while you're there, put it in mind, I must have a balanced life. My work is not created to kill me, so I must be able to balance it and still be able to have a life. If I need to stretch myself, it's okay because the work requires me to do that. But every time I have an opening, I spot in things that are best for me to appreciate. All right, that's what we're talking about. But you must be conscious of these things so that you don't run into you don't box yourself. It's been an amazing time today. Wow, it's been an amazing time today. Just saying time, just fly. All right, so I'm excited. Like I said, if you have any comments you want to share with us, please do free to send us a message. Send us a message or the other, and we'll be super excited to attend to them. Another word from our sponsors, our partners from the MRC.
The National Electronic Labour Exchange is a unit in the International Labour Migration in the Employment and Wages Department of the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment. The centers are information hubs for the public to meet demands of employment, referral, labor rights, recruitment advice, support, and all employment-related issues, with the aim of educating and enlightening the public on workplace and employment issues, as well as ensuring protection and decent work. Our target audience are students, all categories of migrants, and the general public. For more details, email us on jobcenterlagos@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, a National Electronic Labour Exchange, YouTube, a National Electronic Labour Exchange.
All right, thank you so much for being with us. It's been an amazing time here with me on the Japa Code today. Let's not forget, the Japa Code is a program inspired to teach you about the rules, the routes, and the resources required for those who want to Japa. And we've come a long way speaking about for those who are qualified to Japa in the forces, for those who have qualifications to do so. You're allowed to go. Of course, you make sure that you go right, you move right, and you don't fall victim. So you don't fall victim of the wrong people. You don't fall victim of the wrong people. And this is very important also because a lot of people are also working at trying to go, and so many very scrupulous elements, if I can say that. Okay, they also want to take advantage of the pressure of wanting to Japa on the system. And so anybody you're getting into engagement with, the advocacy is that you are thorough, you do your thorough work about that person, as much information as you can have, and it speaks a lot to consistency of communication. If the person is talking all manner of blah blah things, again, you need to be very mindful of those things. Okay, so you are able to checkmate wherever the person, so you don't fall victim of the wrong direction. Okay, I always say to a lot of people, when about getting a job, you have to know the employer, you have to be able to talk to the employer, you have to know the address of the employer, you have to know the rules of the job, you have to know the contract of the job. You must know all this, and those things the employers are always ready to do that. If you're sincerely, if the job is a sincere job, you have to know all those things, because when you sign the dotted lines, you're subject to the contract. Okay, and then when you get through the process of that, every other document you need to get, also you must be very careful that those documents are gotten from the right sources, the traceable, trackable sources. Or there's no, please let me to go and do it. No. You must be there. Otherwise, at the end of the day, when you get to the point of checking, you're the one that's going to be arrested, not the person that helped you to do something. All right, so you have to be mindful of that. And of course, when it comes to visa application, you must know how to do it yourself, DIY. There's no middleman. The middleman can point you direction to go, but you know that you're working with a particular website, and all these things are just there. They're available. You're working with a website to fill the form and all these things. You're working with a structure system. You pay, they give you a receipt for what you're paid for, all of those things. Now, in between, at any time you want to bring in an agent, you're an agent there, it's at your prerogative, but you know that what the agent is doing is not changing the original for you. It's not rearranging the source and give you another source. No, it's just helping, guiding you to do the real thing. And of course, you already know the real thing. It's an employing. Just want to employ you and wish that everybody would always, do the needful before they launch on such journey as this. Japa is a normal phenomenon of human nature, but every time you're doing it, you have to make sure you do it right so that you don't fall victim of the wrong thing. My name is Yemi Awosu-Adefa. It's been an honor to be here today on this program. Thank you so much for the time we have spent together. Join you, I'll be here again next Sunday, Lord willing, and we'll have another exciting time with me. If I'm able to get our Dr. Osas to come in next Sunday, of course, he'll be here with us. Otherwise, we would have another exciting guest with us here next Sunday. All right. Thank you so much. It's been a great time, and I wish you all the very best. See you again next Sunday. Bye-bye.
Hello, my name is Yemi, and I would love to invite you to join me on the Japa Code. The Japa Code is your ultimate guide to legally migrating from Nigeria to your dream destination. If you desire to Japa, we've got you covered. We'll bring you expert advice and insider tips to help you navigate the rules, routes, and resources required to make that dream a reality. Join me this Sunday at 5 p.m. on the Women Network on YouTube. The Japa Code is brought to you by Women Consults in partnership with the Migrant Resource Center, Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment.